Hi, welcome to What I Think. My sister said to me the other day, you always don't know what you're going to say when you say what I think. And she's right. And I don't know why that is. It's like I forget what I'm doing, even though I do it every week. I forget what it's called, even though I titled it. Go figure. Anyway, so today I'm going to talk about how school started. Is it second week of school? So for me, school started like 2 weeks ago because I had to go in and do prep stuff. And then I had to, then we had the first week of school. And then, so I guess this is week 3. So I have to tell you, during the prep week and part of week 1 last week, I was a mess. I have taken on a new role that I'm totally learning. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when you're learning a new role, um, maybe you don't get anxious, but I do, or I get like worked up and everything is like stressful because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't like not knowing what I'm doing. And so what happens is I'm like this ball of tension, which leads me to want to do everything perfect. And since I can't do everything perfect, I procrastinate on doing it, which makes me feel overwhelmed because I'm not getting anything done because I don't know what I'm doing, which then leads me to be a little controlling. So much so that my husband made this gesture to me and was like, this, what is all this? And I was like, I'm being controlling. He's like, I know. But it was interesting because I had this kind of like, I don't know if profound is the right word, but I had this really big deal insight to myself and how I behave when I'm being challenged. And it's not the greatest. For many years, I've noticed that, as a nurse, when the shit hits the fan, people are typically at their worst. There are very few people when they're in crisis. I'm not saying preparing for school is crisis, it's not. But when people are in crisis, they're often not their best selves. They fall back on coping mechanisms that, probably come from times in their life where they may not have been mature enough to learn a coping mechanism that is helpful and healthful. So, we, when the shit hits the fan, when we're not in a good place, tend to fall back on those more childish coping mechanisms, which are really defense mechanisms. And so when you think about defense mechanisms, now I want you to think about what people are like when they're being defensive. They're not the most cooperative or interactive people. They're just kind of like fighting and protecting, right? So I noticed this about myself, that I was being anxious, that because of the anxiety, because of the nerves I had over doing this new job that I really don't know how to do, that is like, it's a front and center job, so everybody's watching me. Yikes, that's scary. And then on top of that, we have wanting to do it very well. So I want it to be perfect. And then because I can't make it perfect, I procrastinate. And then because I'm procrastinating, I then start to get controlling and overwhelmed and all these things. I forgot where I was going with all this. So, okay, anyway. So it was interesting to have this kind of insight. And I think I've probably done that my whole life. And that's a coping mechanism I learned at some point in my life on how to handle overwhelm. And it's not a helpful one. So what I ended up doing is I did some meditating. I used Insight Timer, and just every morning I just turn it on. Sometimes even I don't even get out of bed yet. Just in my bed, I'll turn it on like a 5-minute meditation and just practice breathing. And I also ask myself questions like, is this what's really happening? Am I the fears I was telling myself is I shouldn't have gotten this job. I'm not right for this job. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to fail. Everybody's going to be like, why did you hire this person? And so asking myself, wait, do I actually know something about this job? I do. I actually do know a little bit about it. So that's why I got the job. That's why they hired me. And I started to kind of reassure myself by questioning my perception. So that's what I have to say today. I hope you all are well, and keep your eyes open for little things that you do when you're not on your best, when things are not going great. How do you behave? And then pay attention. You might be surprised at what you learn about yourself. Be forgiving though, because you're not bad.